ask you for like your kind of like your input in terms of like design, like whatever you want to do, have at it.
I actually, that's the level of work that I do now. Like I've gotten to the level to where, and like a lot of times I have like acquaintances, friends, or old friends and stuff from the neighborhood, especially like downtown or Barrio Logan, where they're like restaurant owners, successful business owners, things like that, and they'll try to hit me up for like a quote. And so I'll go and show up to the meeting. Usually goes like this. Oh, let me show you what I got here. And they like walk me through their space, right? And they like have a couple ideas, but they don't really know what to do or how to do it. And then they ask me for some ideas. And then they try to ask for a price for that idea, and then they just get the idea and then try to do it themselves, like usually.
Cheaper.
Yeah, there's a lot of cheap assholes out there. I'm kind of used to it. And so like I tell people like now, like a good, one of my clients up in Bankers Hill, like the last 3 or 4 or half dozen clients, like on bigger jobs like that, it's just like, okay, you want my time and you need to commit to a schedule. And I'm like, cool, if you want me to even meet you, it's $10,000.
For like an hour of your time?
That's just to schedule with me, and then that is a retainer that, okay, if I like the job and I take it, I will take the $10,000, but it has to be ready. Like you have to have it committed. Like, okay, I'm gonna give you this cashier's check or whatnot.
At that meeting.
Yeah, at that meeting, and that's to retain your services. And if I don't like the job, I don't take the money. Like, you know what I mean? You know, but I'm not gonna even discuss it. I see what the layout is, the plan, and then they tell me what they want to do, and then before I even like mock stuff up or create creative ideas and start throwing stuff out there, because usually, I think through like my experiences in multiple businesses, contracting, government, multinational business, and things like that, and we can get into that later. Like some of my background, that it's not difficult to like learning how to build the skills. Like if you need to sell yourself, you have to build the natural skill to read people, like to be able to kind of get their vibe, how they interact, how they communicate non-verbally and verbally, and the cues to where you can understand kind of where they want to go with it and what they like. And just like you know, it's really great to like look at people's social media, because you know, like designers, architects, engineers, people in industry will share like their passions. Like that's what social media is for, like their Pinterest and things like that. And I'll always tell people like, oh yeah, if this is the first time you're calling or reaching out to me, we have a meeting, say Tuesday next week, send me like your splash deck. Like show me share your links to your Facebook, Instagram, and like a Pinterest if you have it, or something like that. Like a splash deck showing me what is it you like. Like show me what it is.
So you get like a read on you.
Yeah, I get a read. Like a good example, I met a couple of new clients, really wonderful retired ladies that are married, super nice. They were retired from the medical field. One is also an artist retiring, a published artist. And they have this beautiful ADU, very modern, minimalist. They got out of Salt Lake from like modular or something. And their backyard was designer, like Japanese garden designer. I really liked it. It was really nice.
It's nice.
And she sent me kind of their Pinterest, and it showed me like they like minimalism. They like modern, clean looking. They like Art Deco as well as like, you know, abstract and things like that. So they appreciate clean lines, but they're not afraid of intersecting. And so I was able to like, they have like a curved pathway to a very square, blocky kind of deco unit, but it kind of flows, you know, because that's a very clean system of how they put it together. So I was like, okay, well, let's not mix. You have a very like S-curved concrete walk with a couple steps. Let's keep the block patio square, but let's roll the stainless handrail, because nobody does that anymore. Let's roll a whole tube and make this streamline like S-curve at 42-inch handrail all the way down. It was like 45 feet. And really cool. And so really nice. With that, and so yeah, you know, and they're willing to pay for stuff like that. And they like, oh yeah, and like the one tip that she said, she's like, I don't care what you do. I know it's going to be amazing. I just wanted to make it look like it's not. It doesn't exist. Like it's not there. And I'm like, okay, perfect. So we're going to go like 316 stainless cable. You know, need like the safety railing code for spacing, and then making it flow with the same line. An outline essentially following the pathway. It's like two symmetrical lines looking like horizontally at it on the landscape view.
Yeah.
You know, like say out the back window, it just looks crazy clean, matching. It's not like a smooth line with intersecting angles. You know what I mean?
As a like developer, do you think like, what's like your favorite type of jobs to work on?
Creative ones.
Just like, have at it. I don't care what
honestly,
you do.
Honestly, like I did that bulletproof awning door, like $23,000 custom door in the roof of the home over here on K Street.
Oh, you showed me that.
Yeah, Like my favorite is when a client comes to me because they heard my name or they referred to me or something because they want something that sounds impossible. That's my favorite.
And they're like, I don't care what you do.
I don't care how much it costs. I don't care what it is.
Here's the money.
They're like, I want like a concrete door that weighs 4 tons with like etchings in it, you know, from like a movie from like The Mummy or something. And I want it to pivot as if it weighed 4 pounds.
And like,
You know what I mean? I'm like, all right, cool.
is it the challenge that gives
Send
you
it.
like that kind of like, all right, like fuck yeah.
Yeah. It's like a pre-workout.
Fuck yeah.
I'm like, that sounds awesome. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do exactly what you want. That sounds fucking rad.
And do you get some type of like first time like designs, like original type thing, like when you create?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And then just like with prototyping the machines in the gym, like everything has a trial and error. Like being like having an engineering background, you know, formally, as well as all of the fabrication and design and metalworking and types of construction technologies and things that I like have learned and know. Like I have a pretty good wraparound, so I know where to research. Like something I want to do that I think, okay, this mechanism would facilitate the concept, right? So I can kind of look for it. I know if I'm already familiar with it or if I know something that works from experience, you know, I'll play with that. And, you know, just like in anything, you know, build small models, like create like SketchUps and templating and all those things. And I think it's awesome to be able to do that. You know what I mean? And so I think, and also sourcing, like sourcing the right equipment. You know what I mean?
How long did it take you to like get to this point? Like, I know it took
About
like
37 years.
a long ass time to have like your own creative spin on things and
Yeah.
kind of have like, this is what I want, do whatever the fuck you want with it, and you have your own creative spin on things. But like, is there any type of like tips for any type of like architects or anything like that? Is it just like take any type of job, or just like do you?
Well, like I have the luxury now in my like career and like life that in my industry that I have the luxury to like say no. Like I walked off of a job because I have 2 clients I've been working with on a project for the last 10 months that just got super shady, and I'm pretty sure because they're habitual drug addicts. Like they can't not go home and get just obliterated high like constantly, and then on the weekends just like 1 foot in the bag. You know what I mean? And it just goes to show because they try to, you know, certified project managers, they just show up and they don't even remember the shit they brought up like yesterday on a job site. Like, you know what I mean?
So every time it's kind of like a rerun.
It's
of,
kind of like a
the last
rerun.
movie.
It's super pedantic. It's incredibly obnoxious. And I got to the point where they were like derogatory about it. And I'm just like, all right, cool. Well, like,
Fuck off.
yeah, I don't even have time for this stress. Like, go fuck yourselves.
So during like a job that was like basically unfinished, you're like, fuck this shit, I'm out. Like,
Yeah, I was like, cool. This is how much you owe me on the latest invoice, and go fuck yourselves. Like, good luck.
And you pretty much run that through your lawyer. Like,
Oh no, like it's I'm super contractual. Like I won't like if I say I have an invoice, an open invoice, and there's like a couple line items that were missed. Everything I do is priced in line items. So I'll be like, cool. I have the right to refuse work as a service professional. Absolutely. If you breach contracts, say like you like come on the job and you interrupt things, move tools, misplace things that are not yours, like as a client, and that's my workspace. Like you're turning over like maybe it's your home, but like say we're out back building something, and then you go out that night and move a bunch of my tools and stuff, and I show up and it takes my guys 4 guys 2 hours to set back up. I'm like, okay, cool. Now I'm 8 man hours deep in a job that I shouldn't be paying for, and like you know little simple things like that, like basic industry respect. You know what I mean? But I don't have time for it.
And that's in the contract?
Yeah, it's essentially assumed as well as that you're not altering my costs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not fucking up.
Yeah.
Like, and then it's very easily to explain. And then just like, cool, well, okay, I'm gonna hang, you know, some doors and stuff like that, or I'm gonna build you a sidewalk. Like, cool, concrete this much, materials, time, labor. Price is $15,050, right? $15,050. I'm like, this is what we're gonna do. This is how the jobs. I'm very thorough in how I write my estimates and invoicing line items with like categories of sale items, tasks, you know, time on tasks, things like that. I'm incredibly thorough. So it's almost like the story of how it's going to get produced.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, cool. And then if we have job interruptions that are, you know, client based, that's not my problem. You know what I mean? That's time on task that I'm losing, right? So they're breaching contract right there. Because if it takes us longer than I stated, then it costs me more money. And I'm just like, cool, well, that's money now you owe me. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not an idiot standing here asking stupid questions. Would you like this concrete poured, or do you want to keep fucking around?
Well, it's not really like you're sorry type deal. It's kind of like you kind of fucked me over in my time.
Yeah, and I'm
So I
super
wanted that.
logical. Like I don't get emotional. I'm just like, yeah, no, but like like these couple clients that I recently was working with. Like I went through my entire payroll for one of my guys just to show on the Monday meetings at 4 o'clock. They would show up 30 minutes late, 45 minutes late, an hour late, and then they would sit and bullshit for another 30 or 45 minutes. And I went through and like over the last 40 weeks, I paid almost $1,700 in payroll for dudes standing around for no reason. And I'm like, cool. And I wrote it on the invoice. I'm like, here, you owe me this. And I showed him the fucking paperwork, the data. And I'm like, this is not my fault. You make appointments that you don't show up for. And if I'm not there, then the appointments don't happen, and you're not up to speed, and everything's not being fulfilled correctly, and we're not streamlining information. And I'm like, so you owe me this money. And I was when I audited and did my own taxes for the business. And I'm like, here you go. And they were just like super butthurt. I'm like, well, I have every text message and every apology of you being late. I'm like, that has nothing to do with the fact that it needs to be paid for. I'm like, do better, And I guess they just got upset, and it's not my fucking problem.
I mean,
Yeah. At the end of the day, I don't care. Like,
yeah,
be mad. Like, or show up on time. You're an adult. You know what I mean?
What was like the worst client that you could remember that you ever dealt with? If you had like one specific one or like a couple, like the worst shit you've ever been through.
The worst shit I've ever been through. Probably this last one is the worst. It hurt my feelings. Like, just because like their ineptitude and like essentially like negligence of their own actions on the job, and it was just so ridiculous to the point where like they started like becoming erratic. Like,
this is the one that we were talking about, like the $60,000 one, or
yeah, that was one of the last invoices.
Okay.
And I'm just like, oh my god, to the point where like, hey, these people owe me like a lot of money, and I was floating them because they were waiting on their bank draw for their construction loan, and they were just trying to push as fast as they can because they thought they could go buy another property if they could get these leased in like under a 2-year time. We were almost finished in 10 months, and then asked if we could go faster. And I'm just like, cool, all right. So we just started like cutting corners as far as like, oh, let's just get this propped up and assembled, wired, done, and then we can finish the tie-ins and like getting everything completed, like blocking and all that, the small details. And it wasn't like we were cutting corners, making mistakes. We were just getting it done in like the most A to B pathway, and then you have to come back and like fasten the panels, like put your covers on, cut the corner, like cut the miters on the corner so it looks cleaner. You know what I mean?
That's not
the
like
things that you would take the time to do the first time, but instead we were pushing hard, and then they come back and they're like, oh, well, you didn't do these things. I'm like, I know, because you asked me to do that. And like, then we would just come back after the guy walks through and says, okay, everything looks good, here's your money, and then we'll just next day, all right, let's finish everything else.
And that's not how you run.
That's not normally how I run, but I was asked to directly to do
So
that
you're
as
just
a
like,
favor.
okay, I'll
and
do
then,
it.
And then I get like thrown under the bus by the actual client.
Why'd you do it?
Yeah, they're like, oh, for 20 years I've never seen a contractor do this. I'm like, well, first of all, you'd be 12 years old if you fucking. I'm like, since you're so full of shit. And I like called him out right to his face. Like, I was just like, look, man, sit down before I break your legs. I'm like, we're gonna have a conversation like two adults. And like, he was all like trying to like, I loved it. He like opened his book and like grabs his pen. He's like, so tell me like, where do you think it is I'm failing? And then I'll bring up where you're failing to try to like really command the conversation. You know what I mean? I'm very preposterous. And I just like was very direct. And like, as he started writing him down, he just got more and more uncomfortable. And I was like, it's hard when somebody holds a mirror up to your face. I'm like, these are things that you shouldn't be afraid to learn if you're going to be a business owner. Like, I've had clients screw me over and then try to tell me I'm a criminal. Like, and then I'm like, cool, call the police or call the state board or call like, your attorney.
Because
show
you've
them.
done
And I'm like, and I'll
nothing
sue
wrong.
you for almost making me lose my license. And I'm like, because we go to a job and we show up and they give us a deposit, and I go and spend the deposit on materials, things are coming in, work is getting done, and then as we're paying, drafting and engineering, and we go to the city with their kitchen remodel, they fucking lied to me. And they never permitted their original kitchen from when they bought the house. It was like a full ass build out, like a full second part of their home. And then the city immediately launches an investigation into it. And I'm like, I had no idea. And they're like, oh, well, we're gonna like, and put a suspension on my contractor license.
The clients?
Yeah, no, the state.
Oh, shit.
The Cal board. And I was like, what the hell? And I reached out to them. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? And I threw their plans on the floor. I'm like, dude, you almost cost me my fucking business. Like, I might go bankrupt from this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, why didn't you tell me none of this was permitted? We wouldn't have submitted it. Like, that's insane. It's like, hey, police, I just robbed a bank. Like, you know, it's just like, are you fucking stupid? Like, I'm just like, don't ever call me again, or I'm suing the shit out of you.
Fucking just left off that.
Yeah,
job.
I just dropped their shit and fucking like, dude, fuck you guys. Yeah, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like, some people are so fucking dumb, and they try to be like, you owe me my money back. I'm like,
oh, you shit.
Try to collect it from the drafting and the engineer. Good luck, dog. I'm like, dude, get the fuck out of here.
Essentially, you're just walking off like.
Yeah, I'm just like, good luck. And I remember like I would get like another fucking drink all the time. He owned a restaurant, and he would fucking text me like, "Where's my money?" Like 6 months later, while he's like, it's Sunday at like 10 p.m. all faded. I'm like, ask your wife.
Fuck.
People are fucking the worst sometimes. But I'm fortunate though, because I've had some amazing clients and like some amazing jobs. We won like a design award downtown, like, you know what I mean? Super fun shit, like doing a lot. And so I've been fortunate, but like the biggest thing, like giving advice when we were doing the reels earlier this week is just like, always protect yourself. Like if you're gonna run a clean business, you have to protect yourself no matter what. So start an LLC, start a corporation, make sure you have good legal advice. Make sure you pay for good legal advice. Make sure you have like, you know, that like that insurance protection, you know what I mean, as well as insurance. You know, it's just super important.
So going back to like the social cues, you said just like I think that does take time for you to like read people and like having those conversations and stuff like that, and just talking and reading. So like for me, I know that when I speak, I'm trying not to sound dumb. I don't know if you noticed this, but like when I talk to you, I'm kind of like silent and I just like let you talk and like just kind of try to get a grasp of the conversation, because I don't want to sound stupid when I'm like just having conversations with you, because I know you're higher up here on the totem pole for me, because you've been through more.
I'm just older.
You're older and you have more experience, but for me, I just don't want to sound, stupid.
Well, at the same time, like I think it's important that to learn you need to ask questions, right? And like I have this whole thing like, don't worry about sounding stupid if you don't know something. I have a thing where I always tell people when they're like, hey, this might be a stupid question. I'm like, there's no such thing as a stupid question until you ask me twice. Don't do that. Because if I give you the answer and then you ask me tomorrow, you're fired. Like, fuck you, dude.
There was this thing I saw with Jordan Peterson. He was talking about Joe Rogan and like how he's just like a meathead, but he means good, and he has like these very high up people with high IQs, just like
he's
very
super
simple,
intelligent, yeah.
super simple like questions that he's just trying to get a better grasp on life.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think Joe Rogan is amazing at interviewing on his podcast, and I'll subscribe, love his show. And I think that it's not that he's trying to make it like he's simple, or that's his like he's this kind of meathead, like maybe like what Jordan Peterson might have been insinuating. I think that he comes from a very physical space and direct, and I think with that directness, he also understands that his broad audience, like he gets guys in there that are like talking about ancient architecture, technology,
Neil deGrasse
the
Tyson,
future,
like
all kinds of stuff, and he's trying to make it to where like,
simple.
Hey, let me ask you a question that you can answer that I know my audience will understand.
Yeah,
I think that's the biggest thing. And I think that's what makes him so good, is that it's not that he's like a moron or anything in any way whatsoever. I think that like making and digesting the information in a way that everyone can grasp it and essentially comprehend it is the biggest advantage to a show.
Make it more
I think that's
palatable.
great. Yeah, I think it's a real powerful tool in being good at interviewing, is being able to ask questions that make sense. They're pointed, they're direct, they're clear, and then the answers can be translated simply. So people are like, oh, okay, cool. I don't need you to explain string theory, but you can tell me what happens. You know what I mean? I don't need the fundamental breakdowns,
So
of secular, like cycling molecules across the universe. Like,
did it take you like, I know for me it's just kind of like being...
Do you have the timer?
Yeah.
Okay.
20 minutes? For me, it's just kind of like being comfortable with being uncomfortable and having like conversations.
Yeah, 100%.
So do you think it's kind of the same way? And just like, I don't think I'm ever going to be comfortable with speaking on camera or like out loud to other people in a group, but just knowing that it's okay and just try to like push through it.
Yeah. I think the biggest superpower is just like being uncomfortable. Like, what do I not want to do? Okay, I'm going to do that. Alex Hormozy says it, like just being not satisfied, you know what I mean? And being, okay, well, I'm going to worry about what I don't want to do, what's like most uncomfortable. Okay, I'm just going to focus on doing that right now so I can enjoy myself later. You know what I mean? Like, get the cardio out of the way. Get in the first thing in the morning. Get the tasks, like, have the hard conversations. Like, if you're stressed and embarrassed and, like, you have a bill that's due or something or it's overdue, like, just call them and let them know. Like, just get the conversation out there. Like, do the thing is that you don't want to do or that you're afraid of, and then just get used to that. Because I feel like another thing Alex Hormozy brought up in an interview real quick was being, like, addicted to being uncomfortable. Because that's where you grow the most, and that's what you want. Ultimately, that's what you want. You want to advance your life. You want to grow your knowledge and skill sets and business. So just constantly be like uncomfortable. Like, I'm agitated if I'm not doing anything. And I think it's because I've grown that, like, almost ingrained in my DNA habit of, or I have to always be doing something, whether it's hard or not. Like, oh, I want to go do the cold plunge before my workout now because now I miss it. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. Like, I just build these habits and always being productive, because if I'm not, I feel like I'm fucking around, you know, and then I don't like that, you know. I'm just like, oh, like it's there's a thing of being uncomfortable in a good way and in a bad way. But you get to the point where, like, I'll have members come into the gym and I'll straight up ask them, what do you do for a living? Not trying to be weird or anything, but like, they have a lot more than I do, or they're older and are really well established, and I'm just like, hey, so what do you do for your beer money? You know what I mean? Or your membership money?
That conversation that we had the other day, talking about making a group, not me and you, but you per se, you were going to make this group, say, like, I don't know, like Andrew Tate's The War Room, where he has a group of people, putting them through, like, you know, making them better as a person, you know, doing like a fight or working out together or getting their finances straight or anything like that.
Like a membership, like a mentorship program?
Mentorship program, but for life. And you were in the, I don't know if you want to bring this up, but you were in the talks of, like, doing it. Creating something,
like, I don't believe I'm, like, hyper successful as far as what one might calculate as far as monetarily. I'm not a billionaire. I don't have 5 million followers. I'm not an Andrew Tate. You know, I'm just a dude that owns a gym and a couple other businesses that welds for fun and lifts weights and things like that. But there's a lot. I do a lot more, and I come from a very interesting place. With a varied background, and I have a lot more insight than some people might understand, which gives me unique perspective than others. And so with that being said, I feel like I've gone through enough with my childhood, young adult, military career, contracting, working for the government, working privately, and then also working and being successful for myself. One thing I know that I can do is I know how to work for myself and make a living. I have been for several years. And so that's something I can offer, you know, as far as experience. But I've also tackled, like, bankruptcies, tackled credit. You know, you have to if you want to be able to build things, like tackled finances, tips and tricks, how to, like, find the loopholes like Donald Trump did in some of his early books. You know, there's a lot of information and research. There's, like, so much corruption, you know what I mean? Like, in the government, in politics, in, like, literally everything. Like, how do these people do it? I'm like, well, if they're playing the game, then I guess I better learn how to play the game better. You know what I mean?
Just like Joe Biden, he said he was going to tax people who have a 740 credit.
Yeah.
1%.
Don't even get me started on the fucking communist fucking president.
People who have lower credit score get, like, a discount, basically, a 1% discount.
Subsidizing it, yeah. What a fucking piece of shit. Like, fuck Joe Biden. Anyway. Fuck, the Biden family all deserve to be in prison. Write that down. Fucking, I'll probably get censored for it. I don't give a fuck.
I mean, I don't think you would, but
yeah. Who gives a shit? Anybody who thinks that guy's doing good literally has a mental disability. Yeah. Like, absolutely ridiculous. It's just like these, like, they're pandering liars. Yeah. And so anyway, not to go too crazy off on that, because, like, that don't get me worked up emotionally.
Well,
but
I
back to your thing.
ask another question, but go ahead, continue.
Yeah. I've been asking, like, Mel's gotten it, messages. We've had, like, just 2 or 3 requests in the last week about, like, starting a mentorship program because we're scaling so fast with our brand and things like that. And I'm looking forward to, after getting the app launched and stuff, to creating that, because, like, not just yourself, but maybe create, like, a small, like, 6 to 8 person group of, like, a VIP direct mentorship program where people can, like, meet with me physically in person or through calls, and we can also like I can build frameworks for like helping your credit, where your finances go, how to retire and plan, how to work with business banking and all that, how to align your finances and credit for your business, how to structure legally, how to what sort of business structure should you be working with based on what it is you're doing. Like, should you jump in financially to an LLC or S corp with a couple of people, or set it up through your family, or do you just want to be a sole proprietor for now, save money and then advance, like all the different things, you know what I mean? And I've done it. I have 5 enterprises that I solely own outright, and I'm a manager of like 9 others. And I also come from a background of larger scale business. My father was Don Gary Young, or Dr. Young, from Young Living Essential Oils, and was the founder and creator of the largest multinational multi-level marketing company of the 20th century. And so, yeah, that's where I came from. Started it in 1996 and went from living in a trailer to a billionaire. And so he died in 2018. I've had Latchkey Films already reach out to me to try to like do a documentary like on my childhood and his life and stuff like that, because of how like he was very crooked. He was like the Hitler of multi-level marketing. Yeah, it was insane. Like super aggressive, crooked as fuck, and like he was like, oh, this guy's like Jesus. Like it was so insane. Like the whole like stigma behind it is like crazy, but seeing someone go from like selling snake oil essentially to becoming a fucking billionaire in the space, like you learn a couple of things. You know what I mean? Especially like growing up as a teenager and working summers and full time, like building commercial farms, like ranches, like shipping operations, like you name it. Like I was there doing it. And so,
is it the fact that you didn't want to be a part of that?
Yeah, I knew how crooked he was growing up, and so that's when I joined the Army in high school, and just fucking I was out. My dad disowned me, so like you'll never hear about it. Like there's one time we met someone, and they literally told us, like, this is a few years ago, that they heard that his son Adam had died of a drug addiction. Like that's what they were telling people, because I just disappeared.
What the fuck?
While I was in Afghanistan.
So essentially, we just made you a crackhead.
Yeah, he just said. So my dad decided to tell people I was a crackhead and died. I'm like, cool, super cool. I'm like, fuck you, dude. Well, too much. You can edit that out if you want.
No, I mean, like,
I could give a shit. Like, fucking, who cares?
No, I mean,
dude was like a hyper Zionistic fucking like a religious zealot. Like became Mormon at 50 and like totally leveraged the church to grow his business.
I mean, a lot of people
Mormons and essential oils are like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With that kind of backstory, a lot of people would just crumble and be like, "Oh my God, my dad, like,
he took everything from me. Oh, he's a billionaire and I'm poor." Like, yeah, like my dad ripped me off on my first car. Like he's good at business because he was good at business.
Yeah. You know how to leverage.
Yeah, he know how to fucking like strong arm people and shit. And then he could sell fucking ketchup popsicle to a lady with white gloves. Thank you, David Spade. Anyway. And that brings me to something like interesting I wanted to bring up before we run out of time was I think it's Anthony or Tony we were just talking about it, the bodybuilding BS dude just completely got deplatformed. They like deleted his or canceled his YouTube channel, the Bodybuilding and BS.
Bodybuilding and BS?
Yeah, his channel is like super big. He like interview bodybuilders, you talk about controversies, what's going on, and like all that stuff. Has the old school labs supplement line. Yeah, really cool, man. Had a big thing, and then he just was on Instagram showing that like Saturday night he got a letter, an email stating that his channel had violated their policies. And they just deplatformed him. And like we looked in his link tree, like had his YouTube, and you go and it's gone. It's fucking gone.
What did he do that was?
I have no idea, but understanding that all these people these days are leaning so heavy on the fact that you can be like, oh, coaches and like build this online platform, and not realizing like, hey, this can just be taken off. Like you can turn this whole thing off with a switch of a button. Somebody across the world on the other end of the keyboard can just shut you down and like take it away from you. And I think people really need to start waking up to that. Like if you're not varying your portfolio and like doing other things, like you're an idiot. Like, great. What happens when you can't make any money? Oh, are you gonna live inside your car collection? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck?
Are you a big proponent of like brick and mortar?
Yeah, I'm both. I believe that like every space and every technology should support your goal, right? Like, so we don't just have a brick and mortar. So, my internet or gets shut off, or my platform or IG or YouTube gets taken away. Well, all the 500 to 600 members that come here are still going to show up and go to the gym every fucking day. Cool. Service-based business. I still have my welding business. I still have my construction business and all that. But we are also monetizing digitally, and we're moving with the app into the digital market space and providing, intellectual property and content. But I've also used that to grow my other businesses and vary my portfolio.
And I think that's amplify what you already have.
Yeah, exactly. But to be like, oh, I live in my mom's house, or I just in an apartment in some building, showing off, flashing my life, and all of my money literally generates from a button on my website that can just be taken away instantly. I'm like, that's not really what I would call sustainability. You know what I mean?
Would it be sustainable for you for just to have that and then build your portfolio of what's solid investments? Exactly.
And that's so for those people, those coaches and elite CEOs and all this, that's absolutely what I would do. And I'm sure that some of them, I'm sure they're intelligent that they do that. They sell, they get into the product space. You know what I mean? They monetize products, but have your products I know dude sells his products from his YouTube link and Facebook business, and then it got shut down because it's all linked to one platform. He doesn't even have a .com for it, so you can't even go and buy it anymore.
Oh shit!
So he's literally gone. It's dude. So at least if you're gonna vary it online, so you lose one, be the octopus. Don't let yourself stand on one leg so you fall on the ground. You know what I mean? Have multiple arms, multiple irons in the fire. And I'm sure, like I said, a lot of them, use your money to monetize and get into real estate, start investing, get into product spacing, use your platform to grow other options. Just like everything I've done, it's just a ship to get you to shore. Just this is what you do. You build that platform and you travel it, you ride it, you grow it till you get to where you want to be. And then you disassemble that ship and help build other things. So you use the income and revenue from the platform to build other things that are sustainable, like rentals, commercial property, investing in brick and mortar business, restaurants, retail, whatever you think is going to be good and sustainable and showing a healthy, profitable market share, get into it. You know what I mean? Something you're passionate about, the One Muscle guy that has the I think it's called the One Muscle or the Muscle supplements. Really big dude coming up in the space of coaching and all that. He has that Limitless Society. He just invested heavy into this Dirty Dough cookie chain and wants to take it national, from the Salt Lake, Utah area. I'm that's cool. Then he's gonna have that revenue stream and things like that. That's what you should do. You should immediately the whole 7 streams of income. You should have multiple streams of income. And if you're relying because I don't know, you're lazy or you don't know any better or you don't want to take risks of going out and spending the money to build something, then you're gonna end up catching yourself in the dark. You know what I mean? With your pants down.
Taking that risk right now. I don't know how much time we have. 3 minutes.
All right, cool.
If you want to answer this really quickly, right now the U.S. is kind of going down a shithole.
Yeah.
Per se, and I think, well, not I think, but probably 2 to 3 years, maybe 4 years time, basically this economy is just fucked.
If the international group actually puts out a physical and digital global currency, and we're not invited, and we get essentially devalued, we'll be
like a Venezuela.
It'll be looking better in TJ, really soon. Yeah.
So what would be the best just make as much money as you can right now and then get the fuck out, or
honestly, I varied into indexes so I can leverage my money for physical things, taking the gym, taking our entire platform so we could buy the land to build the next gym. You know what I mean? That's smart cookie stuff. That's being intelligent and making sure you have leverage. So land is always going to be worth something. Whether China invades and takes it from you is another thing. But I don't know. You know what I mean? Hopefully that never fucking happens. You know what I mean? But being able to have something sustainable and also varying my portfolio in the global economy, yes, we're probably going to do an offshore tax-free account in Greece. I'm probably going to get some, vacation property and stuff like that, things that we can monetize on. There's a lot of expat incentives going out there. So I want to have my financial portfolio expanded into other international markets and things that are physical. So it's not just commodities and all that, but actual property and other things. And then we're looking to license the machines also in the UK and the entire European market. So looking to get into international business right now. And so we can actually be a little bit more varied. So you have other enterprises that we could rely on. So it's like, oh my God, I have like Mel and we have a couple kids in the future, things like that. And America goes straight to shit. Okay, we're getting out of here. You know, God forbid. And I fought super hard and almost died for this country. I'm like, it would suck. But yeah, hopefully that's not a thing. But if it's ever a thing, one, okay, cool. We have a vacation rental in Greece or here or there. Or Thailand. Yeah, we're going to have a gym in Thailand. You know, or we can run business from there. You know, if we like absolute worst case scenario. If not, cool. We have other destinations. Like, why not? Like, but at the same time, you should. You know?
Get up and
I'm very big on don't put all your eggs in one basket.
one basket.
Yeah, fuck no. All right, cool. All right, we did good.